Right. He's a middleman. He was a deal maker. And so as he's making these deals, though, like we said, that's how he's stealing money. Because if a guy like Les Wexner gives him access to, a multi-billion-dollar empire, Epstein's he's gonna break off a billy for himself. And if Wexner ever gets upset about it, he can just say, Wex, listen, buddy, I got you here on my private island, snuggled up against a couple 16-year-olds. Probably want to keep quiet about that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's and what's disgraceful is so everybody understands that, right? And the point with the Epstein case isn't the fact that people don't get what was happening; it's that people get what was happening, but the government's lying to us about it. So
yes, yeah. So that's where I wanted to take it next. So I don't know if you saw the podcast that I sent you with Tim Dillon and Alex Jones. They kind of continue on that conversation from Tucker Carlson, and where I think like we're at now with this whole case and this whole story, government and crime, right, is a really interesting piece that Tim Dillon and Alex Jones brought up was Jeffrey Epstein had a neighbor in New York City during his time there. And that neighbor is now in the Trump administration. If you know who it is, say it, and I'm going to say it. But this could be the implication that, Trump was, he's probably in the files in some way. He knew Jeffrey Epstein. He was a friend with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, right? We know that at this point. But Howard Lutnick was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor. So are they purposely not releasing the files to cover some people that were implicated in some business with Jeffrey Epstein? Howard Lutnick? Maybe. So there's whole different routes now. It's like, okay, Howard Lutnick was his neighbor. What did he know? What did he see? Was he, did Jeffrey Epstein try to bring him in to get blackmailed? Lutnick knew about it. It's like there's a whole new world that opened up knowing that Howard Lutnick was his neighbor in New York City. Same apartment building. So it's like that's a whole new way of like thinking that, okay, that makes sense of why Trump would want to not release this, right? It's like his Secretary of Commerce is doing all this business across the world. If that comes out, who's going to want to do business with Howard Lutnick knowing that he was implicated with Jeffrey Epstein?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Elon wasn't lying to us. Elon, he fucking said it. And we were like, Elon's a smart motherfucker. That's the thing is, he's a smart motherfucker, and he's not going to say something like that unless he knows. You're not just going to come out on X with hundreds of millions of people that are going to see your post, and you say that without knowing for sure that he was.
Yeah.
I don't see Elon being that kind of a fucking idiot. There's no way.
I mean, how would he know that, though? How would he know? Like, he would have had he either heard someone talking about it or he saw it directly.
I was going to say Doge, so, well, yeah, I don't suppose Doge would have access to something like that, but he was so ingrained in the government, I'm sure that somebody who had been looking at the files or knows something, they're going to tell you. They told him, or who knows? All I'm saying is, I just can't wrap my head around Elon saying that without any conviction that it was true.
Yeah, any data showing that or hearing that, even if it's just a rumor, right?
Yeah, I don't think he would do that. I just don't. Yeah. Maybe he would, but in my mind, that doesn't make sense to me. If he's gonna put out that type of accusation, and he's also aware that there's defamation laws, there's a lot of implications for people who just outright lie about somebody like that. So, and Elon knows that. So Trump easily could sue him for defamation of character, those sorts of things. So, yeah, again, I don't see him throwing that out. That allegation
just not being true at all.
Just not being true at all.
Yeah, well, I definitely think if you think about what the last administration was trying to do to Trump, right? They were trying to indict him for anything. They were trying to get him for tax evasion. They're trying to get him for inflating the value of his assets in New York. You would think they were probably trying to build a case against him with Jeffrey Epstein, right? So that's why he's in those files, I would guess, is they were working very hard to dig through their relationship over the past 30 years or so, whatever they were doing in New York. So he's got to be in those files for that reason. I guess they ultimately didn't have enough time to find anything useful to take him to court or to bring it out because they never released it. But now that it's in there, they don't want to release it because who knows what it says and who's implicated. Like we said, Howard Lutnick can be indicated. And I also heard something very interesting too, that Susie Wiles, chief of staff for President Trump, was on Benjamin Netanyahu's campaign manager when he ran for president in Israel. So that came full circle to me, like, okay, that is why Netanyahu and Trump are so close right now. Susie Wiles, chief of staff, running the show in the White House, was also his campaign manager and chief of staff.
Oh my goodness.
The shit gets deeper and deeper.
She was the fucking campaign manager for Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck did she get to the White House? Is she Israeli or is she American? Do you know?
She's American, but she's got ties to past presidents. I'm pretty sure she worked in the White House with like Reagan. Yeah, so she's been in the White House in that sphere for a long time.
Let's look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now and watch Google not show me. So what's her name? Susie
Wiles, chief of staff.
Susie Wiles, chief of staff. I'm gonna say is.
I believe that's. I think Alex Jones said that on that podcast. Yeah, like Susie Wiles, Benjamin Netanyahu. She helped run his campaign.
Who Susie was? I'm trying to see. It's not telling me what her background is. Let's see. Political party, education. Education was University of Maryland. So yeah, it looks like she was American born. In Lake City, Florida. Republican. Okay, but how is she Netanyahu's campaign manager is my question. So, American political consulate. Now, watch. If I ask Grok, I bet you it'll tell me right away. Oops. Because it won't tell me about Susie Wiles. But anyways, okay. So hold that point. But that's a fantastic fucking connection. So I'm glad you brought that up. So what I was going to say with the Trump thing and the files is, because I've heard Tucker and a couple other people make the argument that, oh no, I don't think Trump's actually, in the files or implicated because the Biden administration would obviously have released that, leaked it, done something to try to convict him on that, right? Obviously, that's the best way to get rid of Trump. So I don't necessarily believe that. I get the logic, but here's why I don't believe it. I don't believe that's necessarily true why it didn't come out. It's because I don't think that the Democratic or Republican Party has any control over it. Mm-hmm. It's the CIA and the intelligence agencies that are harboring the information. And so if they're deciding that it's not allowed to get leaked or this is not going to be shown to the president, whatever it may be, then it just won't get shown. So I don't buy into that, what like Tucker was saying, oh yeah, I don't think they would have done it because the Democrats would have leaked it or said something. Well, no, I don't believe that because I don't think they even have a choice.
Yeah. Congress can't keep their mouth shut, so they're not going to give them that type of information.
Yeah, because it's beyond political parties. The CIA don't give a fuck about the political parties.
Yeah.
The intelligence agencies are worried about self-preservation. So it's not, oh, we're going to give you the Epstein files to implicate Trump. No, because if they allow that to come out about Trump, these intelligence agencies, then their operation
is in jeopardy.
Exactly. Gets exposed. So they're not going to let anybody get it out. I don't think that means that Trump's not in it. I also don't think Trump was like fucking doing wild shit with these kids either. I don't think that's what's important, but I think there was definitely some type of relationship in the sense that maybe Trump was moving money with him. Right. But the issue for Trump is any implication of that does look bad. So it doesn't matter if you did anything wrong or not, or went to the island. It's just the fact that you dealt with him is going to be a bad look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Trump was the biggest real estate developer in New York City for 20 years in the 80s and 90s. He was trying to get funding from every way he could. So, of course, Jeffrey Epstein was one of the best money managers in New York City at the time. Of course, he probably had a couple meetings with him trying to get funding for new buildings, new hotels, right? So I agree with what you're saying there. Yeah. And it could be implicated that it's not coming out because intelligence agencies don't want it to. That's very logical. And especially when you're dealing with multiple intelligence agencies. Like, we know he was implicated with the Mossad in Israel. We know he was implicated with the CIA. So yeah, if you're working a multinational crime organization blackmail scheme, they're going to try to keep it under wraps, and they're not going to give it to the presidents. Especially the whole thing that doesn't make sense to me is because, like you're saying, they want to keep it under wraps. But the president himself, Bill Clinton, was there all the time. So that's what doesn't make sense to me. Why was Bill Clinton there with him all the time? Why did he have a painting of Bill Clinton in a dress at his house?
Goofy. Yeah, that Clinton for sure was fucking around, 100%. He for sure. He's a. You can tell that dude's creepy. The Lolita Express. You remember what they said that name means?
Oh, yeah, I do. You have to remind me, though.
Yeah, so here's what was the other fucked up thing about the private jet he had. The people who were riding on that jet consistently, who called it that, knew what it was. So Lolita Express is a reference to a book about child trafficking.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I believe Lolita is either the name of the book or the name of something that had to do with this book. That was exactly what it was. It was all about child trafficking and into sex slavery. So they called his private jet the Lolita Express, these guys. So they clearly knew what the fuck this guy was implicated with and what they were going to do on that island. That's not a joke. That's not a mystery. No, they called it the Lolita Express. Another point too, certainly they have all the flight logs of who flew on this plane too. You have to log everybody who gets on a plane, even if it's private. Even if it's a private jet, ID, write down their names, exactly who's flying on every single flight. They have to do that. So these flight logs do exist. I mean, well, they exist. That's how we know.
Yeah, they've been out.
So it's not a secret. And then for the Trump administration to come out, he didn't do anything. He was good, clean.
So another thing with the